Vince here from Baseball and Whatever. Do you like sports? Do you feel your current sporting news provider isn't giving you enough? If you answered yes to both of those, and I hope not out loud, go check out Belly Up Sports Network at bellyupsports.com. They have news articles and podcasts covering a wide variety of sports topics, from baseball to NASCAR. Belly Up Sports, for all your sporting news needs.
What's up, guys? Justin here. We got Greg. We got Vinny. We're here for an early episode of Baseball and Whatever this week. We are psyched. We actually have our first ever interview with a full-blown former professional athlete. If you would have told me like 8-9 months ago when we started this, we'd get to talk to a former pro athlete that's played in the States, played overseas, I'd said, you're crazy. Nobody wants to spend time talking to us. So I'm going to throw it to Vinny because this was Vinny's brainchild. He set this up. So Vinny, take it away, man.
Yeah, for those of you watching on YouTube, you may be wondering why we have a J. Crew model with us. I'm going to tell you that he's not a J. Crew model. He is a former MLS.
Well, he looks like one.
He does. Former MLS forward, former Michigan forward, all-time Big Ten first team in 2008, 2 times all-time Big Ten second team in 2006 and 2007, Big Ten all-freshman and team in 2006. 3-time Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week in 06 and twice in 08. First freshman to lead Michigan in goals and points in the program's history. He is also the former star of Rockford Raptors FC. He is Peri Marosevic. Peri, first and foremost, how the heck are you?
Good, Vinny. Yeah. You guys, thanks for having me on this. I'm excited. Love to talk to you guys about any questions that you may have. Love to get into it, but yeah, first of all, thanks for having me. I think this is going to be fun.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. So when did you first start playing soccer?
Wow. I mean, as soon as I could walk, really.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, soccer has been a big part of the family. You know, my dad grew up with it, loved it, breathes it. So it was just natural that it was going to be part of my life in some way. So they say that I actually started walking with a soccer ball. I don't know if that's true or not, but
that would make sense.
It was literally something that was brought to me as soon as I was born. I really started getting into it when I was 3, really trying to really getting, spending a lot of time with the ball. And like my dad then noticed that, okay, there could be something here, organized soccer. I started when I was 5, and that was when we were living in Germany at the time. And I started playing there for a club called Victoria Preußen. And, that's really where I started my soccer career, and then had the pleasure of playing it since.
Nice. Now, okay, so you started out playing in Germany club soccer. I met you, I think, around when we tried out U9, I think U10 for the Rockford Raptors. How did your family arrive in Rockford, Illinois, of all places?
Yeah, that's a good question. Rockford is a hot spot, as you know, Vinny, a lot of things happen there. It just attracts talent.
Right.
But no, I mean, yeah, we were, we lived in Germany for about 7 years before we moved to Rockford, and it kind of just happened through kind of a lottery, you can say. My parents at the time, there was a lot of stuff going on in former Yugoslavia at the time with the war and everything like that. And that's one thing that caused us to leave. And that's how we ended up in Germany. There's a lot of things that were happening there. And, at that time, my dad really decided for what's in the best interest for my children, for myself and my sister at the time. And, he felt that the U.S. was a great option. And it was just kind of through a little bit of luck and a little bit of, guidance from God and everything that kind of brought us to the States. And it was funny, we went through this whole interview process and everything to see where we would land in the U.S. And the person that was kind of talking to my parents about it, like, where would you guys like to go? My parents had no idea like where to go. So they heard about New York, they heard about California, and all these the things that you see in the movies, but ultimately they had no idea. So it just kind of came down to close your eyes, pick a place on the map, and it kind of came out that there was a lot of Croatian, Bosnian, Serbian populations in the Chicago area, and that's just kind of how that all ended up.
Wow, that's amazing. Completely like luck of the draw. That's awesome. So you started playing when you were about 5 in club soccer. When did you realize that you were good enough to have a chance to maybe like give it a go and try to make a career and become a professional at it? Not necessarily when you wanted to, but when you realize like I'm pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a dream of mine. Like I said, ever since I could I could kick the ball around. I've always wanted to. It was always something that drove me every single day, everything that I did. I thought about it. I lived and breathed it 24/7. And I really devoted my entire, my life, even when I was little, on training. I really loved it. And, I knew at a young age that, I had something, that there was something there. And, in terms of, there was a skill there. There was some talent, but honestly, I didn't realize it, that I could potentially make it to the professional level until there was one international trip that I did with an Adidas All-Star team, where we went to Germany and we played against all these different clubs like Borussia Dortmund and Schalke and these big clubs, and obviously we were at 12, 13 at the time, and I was able to really kind of stand out, and I scored I don't know, 7 goals in like 6 games or something like that. And it was really a time where like, I was like, wow, I'm playing against, these big clubs. Obviously it was their youth teams, but that's when I really realized, like, I think I can make this happen. And then that from that trip on, it really kind of, my career kind of, accelerated in the sense of being identified for the national team, being identified for, from other clubs in Europe as well as in the US. But yeah, that trip, that one international trip when I was like 12, 13 years old with an Adidas All-Star team, that's really when something clicked. And I was like, I think I can make this happen.
Nice. So we were playing together at that point. I had no idea that you went into tournament international. Must have been a sleeper.
I can't even imagine. Like, I'm trying to think when I was 12 or 13, like playing ice hockey in Little League, and it was like, oh, we're going to get in the car and drive 20 minutes to play the town next door. Like, I can't imagine Perry, what's it like being that age and being like, you're that good, you're going to fly overseas and play the best of the best in Europe. Like what's going through your mind? Do you appreciate it as a 12-year-old, or is it just kind of like, this is normal for everybody? Or what's the mindset there?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely, you're still a kid and you're just really just enjoying to play the game. But I was always, one thing that my dad always taught me was, and was driving into me when I was little was, make sure whatever you do it to your best of your ability, but then also do it at a professional level. Act mature. If you really want to, do something with this, make sure that you devote attention to it. And, so I was, going in there, I just wanted to play.
Yeah.
You're 12, 13 years old. You just want to play. You just want to compete. And I always had that competitive nature in me, even with like simple things like board games or whatever, but it really took it to another level when I was on the field and playing. And I just always, I loved watching the game. I loved studying and learning from the game. So when I was able to, take a trip internationally and play against, and being in Germany, and I felt comfortable there because of, I used to live in Germany.
Right.
I knew the language, and something just drove me. It's like, I want to do good here. And when I played, being able to play against a club like Borussia Dortmund, which is a club that I was a fan of, growing up as a kid in Germany, it was just like, I want to beat these guys.
Yeah.
Nice. I want to show them that, I have what it takes. And it just, I mean, at that point, I'm not really thinking too much about like, oh, am I going to get signed? Blah, blah, blah. No, it was more so, I just want to have fun.
Sure.
I want to have fun, and I want to score goals. I love scoring goals. It gave me a thrill, and that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to score goals.
That's awesome. It's awesome.
Nice. So, who was your best mentor earlier on? I know you just mentioned your dad gave you some good advice. Who did, when you're playing club soccer, who did you maybe get really good advice from, or someone who you looked up to or try to seek their advice or, mentorship type of thing?
Yeah. I mean, my dad is definitely the top person, his advice always meant everything to me. I always had his support growing up. He was always there to push me. And when I thought maybe that I couldn't do it, he was there telling me that I could. So his advice really drove my when I was young, my development. He was really there to guide me and support me. And, he would take, after long days of work, he would go out with me on the field and kick the ball around with me and work on skills and drills and shooting and, making sure that I had the right technique and all these things. So he was definitely a person that I devote a lot of gratitude towards, really continuing to instill and pushing me to a limit where I didn't know I could even reach yet. He was there for me, always back support me. But another person that I relied on guidance and support was Louis Matus. And Vinny, Louis. Yep. The Matus family, they have always supported me in my career, and coming to this country where I had no idea. I didn't even know there was soccer. Honestly, I thought I was going to have to play football or baseball, and I was like, man, I had no idea. I literally had no idea, and I was really, when we first came to the States, I was like, man, that was one of my first questions. Like, do they play soccer here? I had no idea. And obviously Vinny, the first club that I joined when I came to the States was Rockford Raptors, and Louis and his brothers, they ran that, and they really kind of took me under their guidance and kind of helped me navigate through this youth landscape of of soccer in this country, and really kind of helped me kind of see what opportunities there are, like the ODP program, there's avenues to make towards the national team, and what resources in place and people that I can talk to and learn from. So my dad, number one, but Louis definitely helped me out a lot. And when I was younger.
Okay. I'm not surprised by that answer. Yeah. It felt like Louis was everywhere around us when we were playing club soccer. You spoke of the ODP, the Olympic Development Program. I'm just kind of curious of what that's like. I remember that, Greg, Justin, for you guys, the Olympic Development Program, I believe it's every state has an ODP program. Okay. And you try out for it. I did tryouts. I didn't make it past the first round. That's how good I was. I decided to step away. But Peri, you made the team. Is that correct? When we were playing?
Yeah. So the way that the ODP program worked was it kind of first started at a state level. You try your state has tryouts that you try to make the state team, and then if you make the state team, you move on, and then you try to make the regional team, which consists of the Midwest states. And and there was 4 regions, so it was region 1 through 4, and then you competed pretty much against those regions to try to make the national team. And it was really, at that time, it was really an identification platform for coaches to identify the top talent in this country, from first looking internally in their own states, then looking, kind of broadening the scope a little bit, and then looking at a region. And then ultimately you try to pick from those regional teams, you try to pick the best players to make the national team. And I was fortunate enough to, make the state team. The first time I actually tried to make the state team was I tried to play. I played up. I played a couple of age groups up because they thought that I could potentially make it at that point, or at least give me that exposure to see where I stand playing against players that are older than me. Mm-hmm. And I made it, and unfortunately, I didn't make it. And I was really upset, and it really brought me down because I thought, like, man, I thought I could compete against these guys. So that actually drove me even further to continue to try to own my skills and really work even harder. I would spend days, even with snow on the ground, I would go out and kick the ball around and really try to, I really didn't let anything stop me in terms of training. Like, I wanted to train. I wanted to get better. And that point where I didn't make the state team really kind of had me like, okay, I'm not quite there. I need to do better, and it really drove me to come back the next year, make the state team. And then from that on, it just really kind of took off. I was able to make the regional team and traveled with them. We had some trips there where we went internationally. And then that went into the national team, and I was fortunate, and to get that call up, and do have my first national team call up in that camp. And I can tell you, man, I was nervous because like this is something that I at the time I don't even know if it really clicked what I was doing, but because it went so fast. But I knew this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted to do. So when I had that first national team call up, it really, kind of caught me by surprise. But, it also made me realize that all the work that I did and all the work that I put in paid off. I was that ODP program. Yeah, it was, for me, it was a stepping stone. It really allowed me to kind of see players from different regions of the country, players from different parts of the U.S. that I was like, man, we really have some good talent in this country, and being able to not only play against them, but also play with them and get to know them and all these different cultures and different styles of play. It was a really unique experience for me.
Nice. Was there, speaking of, professional players, kind of talking about that, was there a professional player that you modeled your game after? I know whenever kids play on the basketball court, ice rink, baseball field, they always try to like mimic some type of player, whatever it is. Is there somebody that you modeled your game after, or who you thought like, yeah, I'm kind of like this player professionally?
I don't know if I would say I'm kind of like this player, but I definitely said to myself, I would like to be like this player.
Okay.
When I was younger, I mean, some of the players, the one player that sticks out in my mind is Ronaldinho. I loved watching him play when he played at PSG, when he played at Barcelona, just the way he played with a smile on his face every single time, and just the creativity that he had when he played. And I mean, he was a player that I idolized. I would watch videos of him, highlight videos and kind of what he did, the moves that he did to beat defenders, the way he scored goals. That is a player that to this day I still think is one of the greatest players that played the game. But not only that, but it's because of the joy that he played it with. If you literally watch him play, he played with a smile on his face because he loved the game and what it gave to him. And he just had that God-given talent, I think. You watch videos from him when he was younger to the end of his career. I mean, he was unbelievable to watch. So definitely, I don't want to say that, I played like Ronaldinho, but I definitely tried to mimic him in any way possible. And then the other one was Cristiano Ronaldo. I thought, when I'm a big Manchester United fan. So when Man U signed Ronaldo from Sporting, when he was, 18 years old, and what he was able to do at that club. I thought he did amazing. The way he played the game, his footwork, and even now his natural ability. I mean, he worked, and he was a person that, if you listen to his story and the way he developed and how hard he worked, it really made me, really appreciate that. And that's kind of what I mimicked in my career. So it's just a bit, just working hard every single day and devoting your entire life to the sport is really what I admired about him.
Nice. I can totally see that. The way you played and everything like that. I can totally see Cristiano Ronaldo, the way you finished and everything like that. Kind of moving on from club soccer, moving into high school. You were played at Guilford High School in Rockford, and you played 1 year there. You guys got second in state. I remember. I believe you made the all conference, or you were the all conference MVP that year. If I'm wrong, correct me. But and then the next thing I know, you were gone, and I remember. I think I was going into my senior year in high school. When I was a senior, I went up to UW-Madison to watch you play against UW-Madison on Michigan University. So where did you go after your freshman year in high school, and how did you wind up in Michigan?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that first year at Guilford was actually an unbelievable year. We made it all the way to the state final, and we lost. And one thing that I love about that season is just what a great group of players that we had.
Yeah,
we had a really great group of players, not just players but good people. And that team was really. We should. I feel bad that we didn't win in the finals, but the way we got there was actually incredible. I stepped in. I stepped into in goal actually in the semifinal.
Oh, really?
In a PK shootout.
Oh my gosh!
And this is probably honestly, looking back at my career, this is probably one of the highlights. Going into the semifinals, and you put in a freshman in goal for PKs. I don't know. I thought they were crazy, but they must have believed in me that I was that I could do something in the net, and I actually ended up saving 2 PKs, and it brought us to the final after some of our guys really stepped up and finished their PKs. And but so that was probably one of the best parts of that season for me personally. But yeah, so after Guilford, so during that time, while I was still even at Guilford, I was still involved with the national team. I was we still had some national team trips and call-ups, and that was kind of the time when right around that trip to Germany, where I had a really great showing of scoring scoring goals against some of these big clubs, and that's when the national team kind of gave me a call, and they said, we want to invite you down to the U.S. Soccer residency program. So at the time, U.S. Soccer had a residency program down in Bradenton, Florida, at the IMG academies. And this is where they brought down the top 40 players in the country to, for development and for, the U17 World Cup to develop a team for the U17 World Cup. And then ultimately, giving them opportunities to continue their progress within the national team pool. So yeah, I left Guilford after that first season, and it was kind of a hard decision, honestly, being so young and then leaving home. But I knew that's what I wanted to do. I knew that this step in my young career, it could potentially set me up in a great way to my ultimate end goal, which was playing professional soccer. So having, it was a hard decision on myself and the family, but we knew that this was what I wanted. And with my parents' blessing, I went down there, and was in the residency program for, for the rest of my high school career. And they really kind of accelerated our high school. So I actually finished high school early, a year early. But it was all in, and during residency, we took international trips, played against international competition. We hosted the Nike International Friendlies, where we would actually bring in international teams such as Brazil or Turkey or whatever, that we would bring in, and we play against them. So it was really a great way for me to develop as a player. Not only are you training every single day with the top 40 players in the country, but you're also getting the resources in terms of mental conditioning, in terms of strength training, mental wellness, and how to deal with pressure that comes your way, even with things like how to speak at interviews. These things are you're being developed in addition to your physical attributes in terms of your speed, your foot skill. There was a lot more education going on, not just on the field but also off the field, and that really ultimately it sets you up to take that step as a professional if you are taking it seriously, and if that development does take that route. And for me, I had some opportunities while I was finishing towards the end of the year when I was finishing residency to actually sign professional contracts in Germany. And so, but I actually decided because of my mom really wanted me to go to college. She really wanted me to get an education. And, I felt at the time though I had some offers on the table that was the route that I wanted to take. And partially it was, I wanted to make my mom happy. But ultimately it felt, it felt like the opportunity that I got at Michigan. And it's hard to say no to a full scholarship when when Michigan offers it to you, and honestly, I did not know much about college soccer and, what it even looked like or what the level was even like. All I knew is when I went to take my visit to Michigan, it was, I was in awe of the campus. I was in awe of what the sports program was offering. And it was really, an unbelievable campus, an unbelievable facilities. Because, I ended up choosing Michigan over some other universities that were showing interest. I want to say that I made the right decision because Michigan, for me, and I still, I'm a devoted fan to them, but I'm also thankful for them for giving me that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Jeez. At the academy, that's the same academy that Freddie Adu went to. Is that correct?
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. The residency program, some of the top players, went through that, like, Freddie Adu, Landon Donovan, DeMarcus Beasley, Michael Bradley, Josie Altidore. I can list name more and more players, but yeah, it was actually a really unbelievable development program that US Soccer set up. It was really well done. It was very professional. We all lived in this, in this complex full of athletes. I mean, we're talking about, tennis stars like Serena Williams, and then would train down there. Wow. Maria Sharapova would train down there. Ooh. Some of the top golfers. And when you're in that environment, you just want to get better. You're you're surrounded by top athletes. You just want to get better. And it just puts you in this mindset that, man, like, wow, like, I want to make sure I get the most experience or get the most out of this experience. I look back at it sometimes like, man, I could have done this, or I could have done that more, or I should have done this. Mm-hmm. But honestly, it was probably one of the most wonderful experiences that I had at that age.
Nice.
Wow.
I had a quick question for you, Peri. What was like the transition? You obviously played at a higher level in high school, most than some other high school athletes heading to D1. So how was that transition for you playing at Michigan? How did the talent level compare for you?
Yeah, so it was actually still a pretty rough transition. Even though that I came from an environment that consisted of really great players, going into college, you're still playing against older players. We're talking about seniors that are full grown men, have more muscle on them. So it definitely, I had to be creative and not only use the physical aspect of my game, but more so the technical aspect and the knowledge that I learned from in terms of my positioning on the field, and making sure that even though that the player that I'm playing against might be stronger, I might be quicker, and I need to position myself in a way that will set me up to for that chance to score a goal. And I really kind of took what I learned from being in that national team environment, and and trying to continue to adapt to a style of play that I may have not been used to. College soccer was a lot more physical, and it was a lot more, I hate to say, but it was a lot more like kick and run. Kick the ball and try to. It wasn't really possession based, which was I was used to, and I love playing more possession based soccer. I love playing pass the ball, move the ball, pass the ball, move the ball, and I had to adjust to that and kind of see where my strong suits are to be successful in that environment.
Nice.
It's a good point. It's almost like you're honing your mental side of the game too. At least it's interesting what you said earlier about how you love scoring goals. I related that too. Like when I was playing baseball at your age, I love striking people out. At the college level, it's a lot harder. So you have to fine tune your game a little bit to figure out what's going to work best for you, because you're challenged and even outmatched physically or mentally by more experience, by bigger guys. So that's definitely on par. No, that's really interesting.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. For example, in baseball, you may want to strike somebody out, but maybe you're not quite there at throwing, 95, 100 miles an hour yet. But so now you have to figure out another part of your game that you're really good at. Maybe you throw a good slider, and now you try to really focus on, okay, how can I improve my slider, to ultimately be successful as you move up.
Yep. So
that's exactly what I did. I really tried to own parts of my game that I felt were could set me up for success in college. For example, my ability to read the game and set myself up in positions to score a goal. I may not be able to physically out-challenge you, but my movement off the ball will set me up where you're not even near me, and it'll allow me to give him a chance to at least get a shot off or get an opportunity on goal. Ultimately, I was fortunate that going into Michigan, I established a starting role right away, and I was able to play, which actually helped me because I was able to see quickly what worked and what didn't work, and then adjust it from there.
Awesome.
Nice. Now you talked about scoring goals. You had 24 goals and 7 assists in 59 games in college. So you came out after your junior year, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
What was the pre-draft process like for the MLS? Is there a combine like it is? I'm guessing it's probably not to the extent of the NFL combine that a lot of people are familiar with, but is there some sort of combine or training that leads up to the MLS draft?
Yeah. There definitely is a combine, and as you mentioned, it's definitely not as excessive as the NFL. I don't think anything is, but yeah, there's definitely a combine where they bring in the top players that they're considering for the MLS draft, and while I was at Michigan, there was thoughts in my head that, do I leave after my first year? And I could have. I had some opportunities. I decided to hold off. Then after my second season, I was like, should I leave after my second season? There was some opportunities. I decided to hold off. And through this time, like I had guidance, from, my dad, and other mentors throughout my career, throughout my time at Michigan, and they felt that once I really kind of dominate college soccer, that's when I should leave. And that resonated with me because, like, my freshman year, though, I was the leading goal scorer of the team, I still didn't feel like, I wasn't dominating. I wasn't dominant the way I wanted to be. So I was like, you know what, you're right, I should stay. And the same thing for the second season. I had a pretty good season, but I had some challenging times throughout the season with some injuries that kind of set me back a little bit. And I felt, okay, that's not my best foot forward. Like I really need to do it. I really need to be dominant in order to feel good about leaving. So that's kind of what happened after my third season at Michigan is, more goals started to go in the back of the net. I started to feel stronger and faster. It really kind of, it takes time to develop. And so that's really when I felt like I could be ready. And, the way the season finished and the conversation that I had with agents and people that were close, by my corner, that was the time to leave. And, I just felt, with these conversations that I've had with people that were well versed in professional soccer, I felt that, okay, this was the right time for me. And my college coach at the time felt that was the right time as well. But then I kind of I had challenges where, what do I do? Do I stay? I had opportunities to go to Europe as well. So what do I do? Do I go to Europe? Do I go to MLS? What options do I take? And that's when, kind of MLS really put an offer on, in front of me that I couldn't refuse. And that was the Generation Adidas contract. Okay. And that was offered, to only about 5 to 10 players in the entire country that, they wanted to invest in. And, I kind of took that as a sign. And decided to sign with the MLS. So the way that the Generation Adidas works is that you're actually signing with the league, before you even have a team. You're signing in a Generation Adidas contract. So you're kind of committing yourself to the league. And then the draft is kind of that's fate. You end up at a team that that really sees high potential in you. And, the MLS Combine is kind of really where I was able to kind of raise my value in the draft, where, I came out as the leading scorer and points after the Combine. And that's kind of really what raised my stock, which ended up, and this was kind of surprising to me too, but ended up getting me drafted in one of the top 5 picks.
Peri, sorry, Vinny. Can I ask something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I was gonna say, Peri, I got to ask, like, so obviously you go through college, it's your junior year, you're doing really well. People in your corner, mentors are telling you, all right, I think this is the time. The MLS offers you this Generation Adidas contract. Like, what is that feeling like where in your head you're like, holy cow, like this is going to happen. Like everything I've put my entire life towards and everything else I've put on the back burner to get to this point. Like, is it pure excitement? Is it just pure joy? Is it nerves? Or do you want to rock in the fetal position? Like what's going through your mind at this point? Cause I know I'd be freaking out if it was me, but
not you, Justin.
No, not me. No, not at all.
Yeah. It's actually funny. The timing of it was actually kind of interesting. It was, after my junior year season at Michigan, we wrap up the semester, we finish finals. I go home for the holidays, And that's really when all the conversations started happening.
Oh, wow.
That's, a lot of the, it happened so fast. I ended up talking to all these different people, and, they were just telling me like, this is the time, let's figure out what's the best move. Is it Europe? Is it the MLS? And it just kind of all, spiraled into, getting a phone call from my agent at the time. And, it was right around the holidays, like Christmas was right around the corner. And it was kind of a Christmas present, pretty much to myself. And, I got the call and he said, you know what? MLS wants to offer you the Generation Adidas contract. And I was just sitting there in my parents' basement having this conversation with my agent. And I'm just like, are you serious? Like, is this really happening? Like,
yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I mean, they really want to, they see you as one of the top players. And honestly, like, I knew what Generation Adidas was, but when he started explaining it to me a little bit more and what it actually is, and then it's only like 5 to 10 players that get it, I'm just like, wow. So they really must see something in me. And, so that conversation really kind of shocked me. I'm sitting there in my parents' basement, and he's telling me, Peri, they want to offer you a Generation Adidas contract. They want to have more serious talks. And I literally walk upstairs after the conversation, and my parents are sitting there, and I'm just like, they want to offer me a Generation Adidas contract. Like, I was shocked, it really took me a moment to realize what was happening.
Yeah.
This is actually happening, that I'm actually making my dream come true and going to be a professional soccer player.
That's unbelievable.
That's awesome.
It's unbelievable.
Awesome. So what is a Generation Adidas contract? Besides it's limited to 5 people, what does that all entail?
Yeah, so the Generation Adidas contract is a contract that the MLS offers to what they think are the top players in the country at the time, for that particular year in the draft. So, and it can be anywhere from 5 to 10 players that they offer this to. And it's players that they want to invest in, for and that they see are a great addition, young players are a great addition to the league. And the Generation Adidas contract has different components to it. So one being that you're going to be an Adidas sponsored athlete. And another component is obviously, that you're, going to be committed to the league for a certain amount of years, as any contract is, and the salary component of it was really something that was that would be enticing for any young player, especially as your first contract, pretty much. And it was really something that it's hard to say no to. Yeah. The component that was very even more enticing was that they would pay for your education. So if you, for example, Generation Adidas contracts are offered to athletes that have not finished college. So it could be a freshman, a sophomore, or a junior, right? That's usually who Generation Adidas contracts are offered to. And what they include in the contract is that they have pretty much money set aside for you to finish college. And of course, this was something important to my mom. So I felt this is perfect. And it just made sense that if something was ever to go wrong in my career, say an injury or whatever the case may be, MLS will still honor, have money aside to set for, to set aside for college. And I always wanted to finish college. I knew I had to leave early because that was a great opportunity for me. But I was in the back of my mind, I always had, my mom saying, you got to finish college. And I knew that's what I wanted to do. And that's what, was really great about that Generation Adidas contract.
Nice. Now I can tell you, I know exactly where I was when you got drafted. It was on ESPN2. I was in my college dorm watching because I knew that you had the potential to get drafted. I was really hoping that you were going to get drafted by the Chicago Fire, but that didn't happen. You went a lot higher than and I think they traded out of the first round, if I remember correctly, on that draft. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you get drafted 5th overall. Your parents were there. That was awesome seeing that on TV. did your life change off the field? I know the MLS isn't nearly as popular as a lot of other sports, especially at that time. But did your life change at all off the field? I guess moving to Dallas, like people know who you were, or what, or did anything change off the field?
Yeah, I mean, obviously soccer is not the prominent sport in the U.S., but it was still the MLS was still had its fans and was still known in its markets that had teams. So yeah, I mean, for me, a lot changed off the field. Like I had to, I couldn't live like a college guy anymore. I had to really, try to. This was my job now. Being a professional athlete. So I took it upon myself to take the right steps and, speak with a nutritionist about diet, speak with a fitness coach about the right forms of fitness that I need to be doing. And so you have to really learn a lot, right, about not overdoing it and knowing things you should do, things you should not do. But also one thing that, it was cool being, recognized by people, especially like when I went to FC Dallas. The fans would recognize the young players, and it doesn't matter if you're a rookie on the team or if you're one of the stars. You'd get recognized, and you establish this relationship with the fans, which I really enjoyed. But yeah, I mean, off the field, it was, I kind of, I didn't, do anything too extravagant in the sense of like, oh, I need to, get by the nicest car or whatever like that. No, I really kept it humble from just from the things that I've learned growing up and what my parents have taught me. I just kept it, simple and really try to focus about my career first, the first couple of years of my young career.
Nice.
If only more athletes were like that. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Like one of a kind.
I know. Jeez.
Man of morals. Woo. Not too many.
What was it? Did you know you were going to get drafted 5th overall? And what was that whole experience like on draft night?
Yeah. So there was, I heard rumors that, I could potentially get drafted high and, but rumors are rumors. They have these mock drafts everywhere. Like, oh, Peri could go this, Peri could do that. Some say, like, I could go as high as 2nd. Some say, oh, he's not even going to go in the 1st round. These mock drafts are just kind of all over the place. So, you know what? I honestly just kind of kept to myself. I didn't really think too much about it. I was just like, you know what? If they really see talent in me, if they really believe in me, then whatever club I go to, doesn't matter if it's number 1 or if it's lower down the draft pool. As long as they believe in me and they see talent, then I'm okay with it. But on draft day, I was pretty nervous because, you don't know where you're going to end up. You could. I would have loved to end up in the, at the Fire and be home and play in front of a home crowd and my parents and my friends and my loved ones. That would have been an ideal situation. But, I knew that was going to be hard because of the position that the Chicago Fire was in. Right. Mm-hmm. But it also, it also depends like what position the clubs are looking for. Some clubs are not looking for a forward, some they're looking for a defender that they need to strengthen their roster with. So it was all like, trying to study up on which teams needed a striker and trying to see like where could I end up. And but I had no idea, man. I had no idea. Going into draft day, I'm just sitting there with my parents and just kind of holding my breath and waiting for my name to be called. And, I was fortunate. I didn't have to wait too long. I literally, pick 1 happens, pick 2 happens, pick 3 happens. I'm still sitting there and it's going pretty fast. And then I look over at my agent and he gives me the thumbs up, and I'm like, oh,
Wow.
man. Wow. Does this mean, like, because he's on the phone the whole time, right? Like he's got clients left and right. So he's trying to, trying to talk to clubs like, hey, what, talking about myself and some other my colleagues that, that he represented. But ultimately, I look over at him and he just like gives me the thumbs up, and I'm like, oh man, this is about to happen.
This is it.
And next thing you know, 5th pick, FC Dallas, we selects Peri Marosevic. And I was just like, man, like everything just kind of like, it was surreal, really. Like I stood up, and I the first person I looked over was next to me was my dad, and I just hugged him, and I couldn't believe it. And walking up and seeing the commissioner there with an FC Dallas scarf on and putting that around my neck, I was just like, wow, this really just happened. And then of course they expect you to say something while you're there, but my mind is just racing with excitement and with just really looking forward to this next chapter of my life. And and then next thing you know, I'm packing things up, heading to Dallas.
Yeah. Wow. Gosh, my stomach would be in knots if I were you.
For sure.
So what was it like playing in the MLS? And, do you keep in, do you watch the MLS now? And then if so, how has the game changed from when you were playing in the MLS?
Yeah, it's honestly, it has changed a lot, and for the better. I love what the league has become. Really, more soccer specific stadiums, pretty much everywhere now. The markets are expanding. The players are, the academies are investing into their youth, which is the most important part. Is really this youth development that's really putting a trajectory on the MLS and what they're trying to accomplish. MLS, there's been so much development since the time that I played that it's really wonderful to see. And it's really making a great push to beat out some of these other sports that have been dominant in the US. And it's the way they're doing it. It's the way they're developing it. They could have easily tried to rush and put out 30 teams right away. Right. But they were financially intelligent to grow the league slowly. And then ultimately invest into the youth and try to develop these strong academies to have a larger player pool and to ultimately try to push those players to become senior team players. So I love what I'm seeing now in the MLS in terms of the development of youth. But then also development of the game in the sense of soccer-specific stadiums and really putting a great atmosphere. I mean, you look at some of these markets like the Seattle Sounders, Portland Timbers, even like Cincinnati, like their crowd. I mean, we're talking, the crowds are Atlanta and what Atlanta is doing down there. I mean, we're talking about packed stadiums, and that's great to see. Toronto has always been a great atmosphere in terms of fans. And, I had the pleasure of playing there, and that was an unbelievable time up there.
Nice. Yeah. I know. Was it a couple of weeks ago they had the MLS playoffs were going on, and I don't have cable, I don't pay for anything. I just have a antenna, and I just know I was able to pick up the game, and I was like, wow, they actually have the playoffs on TV. I know I haven't paid that much attention to the MLS in some years, but that's probably most likely because the Fire stink right now. And they have just stunk for a while, so I haven't followed them as closely. But yeah, I was shocked to actually see that on, just basic TV, and I couldn't believe that. So yeah, that's definitely, the growing of the game has been fantastic. Now you played all over in your career. You played FC Dallas, you mentioned Toronto, you also played with the New York Cosmos, and you also played in Croatia for some time, and the club name is NK Junak Sinj. Is that correct, or am I butchering that?
Yeah, that was pretty bad, Vinny. It's yeah, no, but it's all right. Yeah, it's a hard one, but it's NK Junak Sin.
Oh man, I should have known the J was silent. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, Vinny.
So of all those places that you played, which was your favorite place to play in at the home stadium? And then which of those cities that where the club was located, did you have the most like out of, I guess out of work, like fun, or it was just enjoyable to live in that city?
Yeah, I honestly, I would say Toronto.
Okay.
Just the way, the city embraces its sports teams, from the Raptors to us, to Toronto FC. It was really a great place to play and be an athlete. The city loved, its sports teams. And our stadium was always packed for every home game. Doesn't matter if the team was doing poorly or if we were having some success, it was always packed. And I loved playing in front of that packed crowd. It was in one of the reasons, when I first made that move from FC Dallas to Toronto, it was I had a great start in my Toronto career. Coming in as a sub on my debut, and scoring a goal on my debut. It was a wonderful feeling, and it was against an away crowd in Portland. And Portland, they have an incredible fan base, and to be able to shut them up was a great feeling for me. But ultimately, that city really. You could be walking around on the streets and they would come by and they wouldn't be afraid to come by and say hello and ask for your autograph. And the people there were wonderful and lovely people that just really enjoyed their sports and enjoyed the athletes that were part of those sports teams. And Toronto is a great place. Like, it really reminds me of Chicago, which is where I am now. And the teammates that I had, we definitely had our fun. We had our fun off the field as well.
Nice. Is there anything you would like to have done differently during your career while you were playing?
A lot of things, Vinny. Yeah, I mean, you look back at, you can learn a lot from everything that you do in life. So for me personally, yeah, of course, I could have, definitely done a lot of things differently. Would I change some of them? Yeah, maybe. But ultimately, I reached the goal that I wanted to reach, and that was be a professional soccer player. So in terms of that sense, no, I wouldn't, because I was able to fulfill my dream. But yeah, I mean, in terms of there could have been, when you look at in terms of discussions with coaches or contract talks and all this stuff. I mean, you definitely can look back and say, oh yeah, I probably should have done this differently or should have added this or that. But ultimately, having reached that goal and having played and having scored a professional goal, doesn't matter if it was 1 or if it was 800 like Cristiano, that feeling of scoring a goal, I will never forget. And that feeling will always stick with me. So, I would, my career lasted only 6 years, and I wish it would have lasted longer. So I definitely could have potentially done some things differently to make it extend. But ultimately, I still fulfilled my dream, and I was still part of, still made that happen, and put a smile on my dad's face. So that means a lot to me.
Nice. Now, when you retired, did you have like any idea what you wanted to do when you decided to hang it up?
I had no idea, man.
No?
No, I didn't. Honestly, I thought about it while I was playing, and, there's a couple things that kind of went through my head, potentially being an agent, and working with young athletes and trying to, help them reach their potential, help them reach their goal, and help them, guide them through that. So being an agent was definitely something that I thought about. But ultimately, I realized that, I realized that I didn't want to be an agent, just because of, it's a difficult position, it's a difficult position. And It's something that, I knew I wanted to be around the game. I knew I wanted to give back to the game for everything that has given me. Through just having been able to keep relationships and throughout my career, I was able to land a job at U.S. Soccer, and U.S. Soccer was the one that gave me an opportunity when I was younger. They really gave me the opportunity and selected me to go to the residency program and train there, allowed me to be part of a U20 World Cup and go through that whole process. So I wanted to, when I got the call from them and they offered me a job at U.S. Soccer, I just felt like this was a good fit for me wanting to give back to the game and what it has given to me. What better place than the Federation?
Yeah, nice. So what are you doing with them? Are you still with them right now?
Yep, still with U.S. Soccer. Yeah, so right now I work with our youth national teams, and it's kind of, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of like a full circle. It's come full circle where I'm working now with with all of our youth national teams and working on organizing competition for them in the sense of we in our youth programs we have youth World Cups, we have qualifying that we have to go through, and identifying these top talents. Now I'm not necessarily in the identification part of it, but more so helping our youth teams and being one of our national team administrators in really working with our youth players, our coaching staffs, into setting a professional environment for our youth national teams. So when, working with other federations and building relationships with them and setting up a competition for them, so that way our players get exposed to top talent across not just the US, but all across the world. So that way we're able to see where we stand and how we can provide our players with competition to excel their development. So everything from planning competitions to planning training camps to working with the professional teams that our clubs that our players are at and building relationships with them, to working with CONCACAF and FIFA and working developing competitions and fixtures for our players to be able to get exposure and ultimately to help them get to that senior team level.
Nice. Nice. Okay. I was going to say, do you consider coaching down the line? Is that something that you'd want to do?
Yeah, I've thought about this. My dad thinks, I would be a good coach just from everything that I've learned. He
I agree with him.
He's like, don't count it out. Don't ever count it out because, you have so many different experiences and knowledge of the game that maybe that's your way of giving back. And I've never counted it out. I've never said it's possible. It's something that I can definitely consider. It's just a matter of, putting myself in the right environment that to be able to really make an impact on players, But I've thought about coaching. I'm not there quite yet. I want to see what else the game has to offer where I can maybe have a larger impact in the game in the US, but haven't counted coaching out yet.
All right. Awesome. Hopefully down the road, then we'll see you on the sidelines of an MLS team. Who's one U.S. player you just love to watch right now, or you just have to make sure you get the game on wherever he's playing?
Yeah, honestly, there's a lot of young players that we have right now that are exciting to watch. Gio Reyna is one player in Dortmund, and again, this was me being a Dortmund fan in Germany. Yep. That's kind of an obvious one, but I think Gio has really kind of stood out there, and he's really at such a young age has made has been able to be successful. Unfortunately, he's kind of struggling with some injuries right now and making his way back. But that kid has a bright future ahead of him, and it's fun to watch. And there's other ones like Gianluca Busio, who's over in Italy. He just recently signed from Sporting Kansas City. He's a fun player to watch as well. And then we have one here in the U.S. playing for FC Dallas, and that's Ricardo Pepi. These are all players that I had the pleasure of working with while they were on the youth national team side, and look where they are now. They're all playing for the senior team. So for me, watching those players that kind of I had the pleasure of working with, that's what really excites me about the role that I'm in now.
That's awesome. That's really excellent. Awesome. Is there one player that might not be on that, senior team level that's just kind of like under the radar right now, but like has potential that people don't really, that's not a household name right now that could be down the road? Is there a player out there right now like that?
Honestly, there's a lot of young players that we have. There's this development that's happening within our academies. It's really an exciting thing to watch, and a lot of young players. It's hard for me to pinpoint one person and one player, because there is so many players that are currently in our pool, not necessarily being on a senior team level yet, but they're so exciting and so young that they're already in Europe, and we have already so many young players that are already in Europe and signing contracts in Europe at a young age. That is, for us as not only fans of U.S. soccer, but me being directly, obviously, I work for U.S. soccer, but I'm also a fan of U.S. soccer, and seeing this vast amount of young talent, not only in the U.S. and what our MLS academies are doing, but also what's happening overseas, and how much more European clubs are interested in American players. Where before they wouldn't look twice at American player, because they would think like, oh, he's American, he doesn't know soccer, or like they have there was this stereotype about U.S. players. But you look at now, and there's so much excitement going. Christian Pulisic and what he's doing at Chelsea. Sargent, and he's now at Norwich. And obviously we have so many players now in Europe at some of the top clubs like Juventus. Barcelona. With Serginho Dest and stuff. I mean, it's just a lot of excitement. And not only do we have our senior team players there, but we also have young talent there, which is very exciting.
Yeah, that's huge. That's completely different from when we were growing up. There was maybe 3 guys on the national team that were in different clubs, and that they weren't stars by any means, but we're starting to see that now, which is great for U.S. soccer. Is there any advice you would like to give to young players out there? Any advice?
I mean, one piece of advice that I could give them is that the game is simple. I think sometimes we try to overcomplicate the game with all the new technology and that we have, and different forms of tactics and trainings, and I mean, it's amazing how the game has developed. Don't get me wrong; I think they're all important in a player's development now. But one thing to remember is that the game is simple. You take the ball, you pass the ball, you put the ball in the back of the net, right? That's the whole goal of it. So I think just remember that the game is simple, but also just to really enjoy it, enjoy the process of development, spend as much time as you can with the ball. And really, if you love this game, and if you have that dream of becoming a professional soccer player, and it doesn't even have to be a professional soccer player. It could be, I want to play in a D1 school, or, I want to be the best player in my rec league. To me, just enjoy, really enjoy the game, enjoy the process of your development, of your own personal development, and take ownership of it. Spend as much time as you can with the ball. You're going to have to make sacrifices along the way to be able to improve. And though they are sacrifices that might take you away from, maybe spending time with your friends or going to parties, or, that just remember your end goal and what you're trying to achieve, and allow that to drive your decisions, and then, another piece of advice is just to study the game, is to really, watch as much soccer as you can. If you have a favorite player to watch, and study them. But not only, from an aspect of a fan, but also from a student, and to be a student of the game, and to really, try to pick out the things that work for you. But the biggest thing is just to really enjoy the process, really enjoy the process, and to remember the people along the way that helped you out, and, to fall back on them when you need to. And don't be afraid to ask for advice. When you're really struggling to make a decision, fall back on those people, and remember the relationships that you build throughout your career, be it in high school, be it in in college. Remember those relationships, and allow those relationships to help you make decisions, because you never know if somebody can help you out along the way.
That's awesome, man.
That's really good advice for adults too, I think.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Exactly. All right. We're wrapping up here. Peri, I told you that there were going to be some kind of silly, goofy questions that I wasn't going to give you ahead of time. Yeah. Come to this, I'm going to let Greg and Justin ask these questions of you, because I've been talking for most of this. So I'm going to let them jump in here and ask some of the questions that we came up with.
All right.
First of all, though, if I got to ask you, Peri, now that we got to know, how was Vinny as a soccer player? He hasn't talked too much about his high school athletic days. So Justin and I always talk about how terrible we were at our sport.
Yeah, when we go downstairs at the Jenkowitz household, there's a lot of memorabilia from Vinny's soccer days.
A lot of soccer on the wall. So. Yeah. Give us a scouting report on
where can he improve,
Vinny? Yeah.
I mean, honestly, guys, all those back in the day when me and Vinny used to play together, all those trophies and medals that he has, all thanks to him.
Oh,
wow! Well, look at that. The team.
I was gonna say, Peri, does your back still hurt from those tournaments that playing all those years ago from carrying our team?
No, but for real, it was those were fun times. I think one thing that really was great about those days is that not only did us as players get along, but our parents got along as well.
Yeah.
And that really made that team a lot of fun. And Vinny, he may have not always been the fittest player, but he was definitely one. But he was definitely one that he was a joy to have around the team, and that kind of translated into the field. And though sometimes he didn't know what he was doing, he definitely always gave it his all.
Thanks, Peri.
That's really good. So was he really to dive deeper into this? Was he more like the quiet? Was he the quiet kid on the team? Was he more rambunctious? What was
he? Was he just a tall guy, right? Yeah. Just that tall guy in the corner.
No. I mean, Vinny was I would probably say like being a more defensive minded player. He was rough. He was he had some size on him, so he could definitely knock some kids around, which was actually great to have.
Baby.
It allowed players like myself just to not have to worry so much about defending and just kind of focusing on the attacking side of it. So thank you, Vinny, to allowing me to focus on the attacking side.
You're welcome.
Vinny, it sounds like you were the enforcer equivalent from a hockey team for soccer almost.
Vinny's the goon.
Red cards everywhere.
He was the goon.
He was the goon.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
The other thing I got to ask Peri, I'm sorry, is Pretzel Vince is a big contributor on this podcast. He's also Vinny's dad. Any good Vince Jenkowitz stories?
Oh, man. I didn't even think about that.
Or any good Vince Jenkowitz advice?
Just stick with it, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think Vinny's dad, from my experiences with Vinny's dad, he's one of the nicest guys that that I had the pleasure of meeting when we were still on that team. And I think he definitely, yeah, I mean, he's just Vinny's dad, he's a good guy.
He is.
Good answer.
Good answer. Great guy.
All right, so we'll do some quick questions here, Perry. So Greg and I can alternate. First one, you get one soccer team to pick to root for, follow for the rest of your life. Who are you picking? Who's your favorite soccer team all time?
Manchester United.
Okay,
good answer.
Yep.
Greg, you want to take
definitely
that's one that I know of, so that's a good answer.
Perry, what is your favorite TV show of all time? This is the stuff we like to know on baseball and whatever. TV show.
That's a tough question.
You can say Power Rangers if you want. It's okay.
I love Power Rangers.
Oh, heck yeah, I do too. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. That was my jam.
I had a huge crush on Kimberly when I was growing up.
Heck yeah.
We all did.
Yep.
Yeah. But favorite show, that's a tough one. That's a tough one because, oh man, I'll have to think about that.
Well, then we can have you back on. So.
Yeah. That can be our excuse. Yeah.
Geez.
Or is there anything you're watching now that you really like?
Yeah, me and my fiance, we watch a lot of things together. I wouldn't necessarily say they were my favorites, but like we watched Downton Abbey and Bridgerton and things, something, The Crown, like all these things along those lines. But I wouldn't necessarily call them my favorients, But
well, it's with your fiance, so yep. I mean, it's still solid.
It counts.
So, I've watched those with my wife, so
yeah. Yep.
I've enjoyed them, but one that we just finished, which I thought was really good, it was actually Outlander. I thought Outlander.
Okay.
I thought Outlander was
give that a look. All right, here's one. If you don't play these anymore, if you think back to your childhood, favorite video game?
Oh, FIFA.
Of course, yeah.
Which FIFA though?
All of them.
Maybe one of the first ones where it wasn't too complicated,
Yeah.
Like FIFA 98, where you can score a bike from like half.
Yeah, there you go.
I remember one of my first Sega Genesis games was like FIFA International Soccer, and I think this is coming from the kid who played on the Orange team in kindergarten, so I don't know the most about soccer, but I was in love with the World Cup. Like, even though I don't follow a ton. Occasionally I'll watch the Portland Timbers. I kind of dig. I don't know if it's the color scheme or what, but whenever the World Cup rolls around, like I'm all in. Same thing for the women's team too. But Greg, you want to take the next one?
Well, I do have I have one FIFA game. I have FIFA 18. It's more of a recent one, and it's behind me on that shelf right over there.
Has that been opened, Greg, or no?
It has been open, and I have played it, believe it or not. But I have to be like, it has to be like super easy mode.
Yeah.
So I don't get my ass kicked. But
I mean, Greg, it seems like you have a nice collection there.
I do. Yeah. This is only what's on display right now.
Only half of them have been opened up.
Yeah. Yeah. Not even or even played. So I'm covered in dust. But do you have a favorite sports jersey or uniform?
Like in terms of the one I have, or just
it can be one you've worn, or it can just be worn by any professional sports team across all sports. Doesn't have to be soccer, but I'm guessing it would be soccer.
I don't know. I'm a huge Bulls fan. I love the.
There you go.
Nice. And Michael Jordan was actually one of my favorite athletes. Growing up, like I used to collect basketball cards ever since I was like 5 years old. I had a full collection of. I love the NBA, and I loved collecting all the cards. And one player that I loved was Michael Jordan. And just that iconic Chicago Bulls number 23 Michael Jordan jersey, I think it's got to be up there.
Doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah,
nice.
That's at the top.
What about best player you played with or best player you played against in your professional career?
Best player I played against, I would probably say Thierry Henry.
Okay.
Thierry Henry at the time was playing for the New York Red Bulls.
Okay.
So I got to play against him a couple times in the MLS. And even at that age, I mean, you could definitely tell that he still had some class in what he did with the ball. And so, yeah, definitely Thierry Henry, I would probably have to say. He's still an unbelievable player. And having had the pleasure to share the field with such a player, it's just an honor.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Getting back to TV right here. Thoughts on Ted Lasso? Yay or nay?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's absolutely hilarious. So if anybody has not watched that, I highly recommend you got to watch it. We just started season 2 tonight, so I'm excited. Season 1 was awesome. I'm all in on that show. So yeah. No, that's great. Actually, that might have to be one of my top shows, honestly.
There we go.
There we go. I love the. I think it's Ted Lasso that says, I love his like American explanation of what we do since there's no relegation in American sports, and they're like, no one cares. It's just they're awful and they just keep losing. Yeah, that's all right. That's what we do. Yeah, perfect. It's a perfect. Show. Yeah. So all right, last one, then we'll get you out of here. If you weren't still in soccer, obviously working with the U.S., the national team and stuff, what would you be doing if soccer wasn't in your life? What do you think you'd be doing now?
That's a good question. One thing that I love doing is I love giving people advice and just kind of like just talking to people and, kind of helping them solve their problems. So, maybe a therapist.
Okay.
There
you go.
That's good. Or a counselor of some sort. But honestly, I have this. I love, just kind of talking to people and kind of seeing, allowing them to, share their stories, and learn from them. But ultimately, I'd love to kind of, if I can help out in any way and share my advice or give my input. So yeah, maybe a therapist or some sort.
That's an awesome answer.
Nice.
Very nice. Very nice.
All right, Vinny, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah. Peri, thank you so much for joining us. I can't thank you enough. This has been absolutely fun to kind of rehash the old days, and you filling in Greg and Justin on my brief career in soccer. But no, this has been fantastic. We'd love to have you back on. Maybe if you're not busy with the national team during the World Cup, maybe we can pick your brain during that time.
Yeah.
But this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Here's something interesting that's going on, because here we have the MLB lockout, so there's no baseball. Football is unwatchable. Justin's jumping off the hockey ship right now.
Yeah, the Hawks aren't doing too well either.
The Bulls, we're just not paying attention to. So, I mean, I think it's just soccer left for us right now. Soccer,
I think so.
Whatever. So I think the window is wide open. For...
Yeah. I mean, the MLS season just ended, guys. So,
well, there's the off season, so there's something.
Yeah, but no, it was a real pleasure, being on here, and thank you so much for having me. I think what you guys are doing is incredible. It's fun. You guys are trying to, I love the conversations that you guys are having. I love the questions that you guys have, and and I wish you guys nothing but success. I think this is something special. And, like I said, thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun for me.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime. Thank you.
All right. Real quick, if you are looking for this, you can find it on our YouTube channel, Baseball and Whatever. You can call in the text line or the voicemail line that Vinny set up. That's 1-913-808-3278. You can tweet us at Baseball and What. You can email us at baseballandwhatever@gmail.com, or our official Belly Up Sports email, which is baseballandwhateverpodcast@bellyupsports.com. We're on all your podcast networks, and also go check out bellyupsports.com. They're a great host and sponsor of this lovely show. So, Peri, thank you a ton. Vinny, Greg, I will see you next time, and take care, everybody.